Hey guys, welcome to our new channel, the 404 Trifecta Panel channel, where we will have so many exciting things going on for you guys going forward. So, I want to talk a little bit about this first series that we're doing. So, when we started this initiative, one of the things that we wanted to do was we wanted to hear directly from the people. As a political scientist, I think that polls only tell one side of the story. I believe that you really have to meet people where they are and get out and talk to the people and see what's on their mind. So, there during the Kamala Harris presidential campaign, there was a big push for her to create a Black male initiative. There was a lot of online discourse, possibly some scholarship, and definitely very influential Black men speaking out about the fact that they felt like Black men were being left out of the mainstream political apparatus. And so I thought, what better way to find out? And here's one of those articles, and this is by Forbes magazine. Showing up still misread, the perception gap facing Black men in politics. And so obviously we cannot poll or speak to every Black man in this country. So what we thought, why don't we go to places that Black men frequent and speak to Black men about their thoughts about some of this data that has been coming out. So we have permission to infiltrate the most sacred Black male space on Saturday morning. And where is that? That is the Barbershop. If you're interested in this study, one of the studies was done by Hit Strategies. And this is that article. You guys know I am very big on research and citations because that's what I do for a living. So you are welcome to look at the study yourself. But this first video, we are talking to the owner of Rick's Barbershop and Salon in Southwest Atlanta. And so we posed a question to him. Do you feel that Black male voters are disenfranchised? And we are so very thankful to Rick and his team for allowing us into the shop. As usual, when we conduct these videos on the block, the opinions of our interviewees reflect their opinions and not necessarily the opinions of anyone on the panel. But I think it's very important that we give you all different perspectives. So join me on this ride as we get into part one of this video. Are Black male voters disenfranchised? We're on the block today, out in Southwest Atlanta. Yes. Mykah, Mykah, and Dr. T. Yes. All right. And I think that's a wrap. Yep, I think that's good.
Never switch on the homies in the day ones. They didn't wanna open doors, so we made some.
There we go. All right, so thank you so much for agreeing to have this conversation with us today. So as I said, there was an article that came out that stated that Black males feel disenfranchised from the mainstream political apparatus. They feel like there's no political party that accurately addresses their needs. And so instead of just going by the polls, we thought we would come out here and actually speak to Black males on their opinions. Do you feel disenfranchised?
No. Disenfranchised is really a vocabulary word. And I'm going to always treat it as a vocabulary word because growing up, I was always taught that work for what you have. Never be afraid of work. And if you're going to work for money, because that's why we work, then you have to have the mindset of a capitalist. And you can't be afraid to earn money. and you can't be afraid to protect and guard and love your money. A lot of those things about being disenfranchised, those are just historical behavior that was taught to us as black people. The love of money, money is the root of all evil, you know, those little silly cliches, you know, rich people are evil, and that's not true. You know, you work for money and you should enjoy working, and if you enjoy working, you're gonna work, you're gonna create a lot of little hustles for yourself that can earn money. This is a big world, and you can't get caught up in the cliche and the vocabulary words. You know, your parents, you have to watch your parents work hard, right? So if you have hard-working parents in the household, usually you're gonna see hard-working children in the household. And the biggest protection about being disenfranchised is protecting what you have. If you listen to all the arguments today, most young people say, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be like my parents. I don't want to do what my parents do. Parents have worked hard. They got house, they got cars, they got investment. You have to, as a young person, you have to understand all that so you could protect that for the next generation. If you can't pass generational wealth, you're going to always be disenfranchised. So I don't believe in that being disenfranchised. Nobody has a patent on it. Now, there's something. If you want to talk about racism, then you got to know what racism really is. That too has its differences. I worked with an Italian brother and a Jewish brother, and they were so bound by their debt in their business, they couldn't be racist. They couldn't. They needed the right talents. They needed the right people to crack the nut. You got to pay bills. And if you got to pay bills, you don't do the hookup thing. Because when I was 17, I got preferential treatment over white guys because I was willing to work, jump in, get it going, work all night. I used to work 40 hours overtime, pay me $4.50 an hour, but that was in '84. But it taught me something. It taught me that these guys shunned from racism because what was important to them was their family and making ends meet for their family. So racism didn't play a role in that company. That's what we're dealing with. And if you buy into that, you're going to be disenfranchised.
What do you mean by buying into that?
Well, if you buy into the concept that somebody controls your destiny through their racist views, you're finished before you start. You can break away from that. You can. It's a big world. America is a dream. It's a concept. It's a dream. You can think of something, figure out where it's happening, and go. You're not bound by one thing, one state. It's 50 states.
You said something, Rick, about you know, as far as growing up in a household, seeing parents work hard, therefore typically the children in that household work hard as well, kind of copy and paste of what they're seeing. And so being that we have, you know, a different thought process now with some of the younger individuals growing up and kind of wanting to not go that same route, where do you think that is possibly stemming from? They have parents who are working hard. Like you said, they got the cars, the homes, they're providing for their children, but the children are just like, I don't want to take that route. I don't want to work. I just kind of want the easy life, if you will. Do you think that's stemming from making things too available to the children, or what are your thoughts?
The truth is that we really don't have enough for our children. We really don't have enough for our children. Excuse me. We really don't have enough for our children because each generation that has come along has done exactly that. And you could look at the statistics of the families who bound together and build business. they're successful families. And you can look at the families who feel like, oh, I don't want to do what my parents do. I'm going to do my own thing. Some people get lucky and make it through the portal, the threshold. And some people, they fall flat because they're not living with what they were taught. If you grow up as a child and you live the life your parents teach you, that's what you know. That's where your skills are. That's where your knowledge is. And you're trying to live the peer group life. Can't live the peer group life. And I'm gonna tell you something, your peer group, they'll disappoint you. Because you could come from a good, decent, hard-working family. Your peer group know that. They'll make that your evil. They will. They'll make you feel like, it's like the kid that gets the A's and want everybody to think that he's a dummy. He's a smart kid, but he gets all A's, but he's got to fit in with the peer group, right? So you have a lot of young black people, right? Their parents do well, but then they get in their social peer groups and they want them to think that they're the kid from the neighborhood, you know? And so they create the facade that, you know, I'm getting it on my own. You know, I had to pull it up from myself. I get it out the mud. When in modern time, I don't see any mud. I don't know where the mud is, right? So that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And so to your point, do you think that's also the case in this political scene? Going back to that first question about this whole disenfranchised, you know, thought, if, you know, do you think that's something that's been so developed over time, this narrative, and it's just such a conditioning mechanism? Do you think that's why so many people latch on to that? Because it's easier to go with the masses, like you're saying? And just, yeah, let me fall into the same bucket, if you will. Yeah, we all disenfranchised, off the man, the system, blah, blah, blah. Instead of actually, like you're saying, doing the opposite, doing the work to make sure you and yours are, you know, very well taken care of.
You know, let's talk about the political process. Okay? So it resonates to me. One thing, when I really first got into the politics, President JFK said one thing, and that resonates with me today. It's part of who I am. He said, ask what not your country can do for you, but what can you do for your country? So if you want government to subsidize your life, you can, but you gotta live low. If you're gonna be the part of life that say, I'm gonna be a good citizen and I'm gonna support government, then you gotta get high. You gotta go up. Because now government need that to support infrastructure and what we do. The shameful part about that is you have people that go into government with their views. And that's what we're fighting. We're fighting the views of personal thinking.
Right.
And there's a place for that, not in government. So that's what we're dealing with.
So you spoke about capitalism and how we have a tendency in our community to shun upward mobility, this whole concept of getting out the mud. So there's theories in sociology, Africana studies, political science that says that capitalism needs racism to survive and racism needs capitalism to survive, that they are codependent, you know, systems. And so that's why when you hear a lot of, they call them black socialists, but I'll leave it up to them to how they want to describe themselves, but, or they call them Marxists, but they have said that you cannot have a capitalist system without a great amount of inequality in a system. And I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts on that? Because I do agree with you. I do think that we can shun upward mobility, but we also know that capitalism has a lot to do with why we have so much vast inequalities, not just in this country, but across the world.
Well, I'm going to argue against that. And I'll tell you why I'm going to argue against that. This whole concept of capitalism has nothing to do with racism. Because if you date back history, black people were not always down. And it had nothing to do with capitalism. It had everything to do with trade. People trade. It didn't change until the mindset of superiority came about. So when superiority came about, you need something to be superior. Black folks do it to black folks. Okay,
Yeah.
I got mine, you got to get yours, right? So when the mindset of superiority came into play, the only thing that could draw the line was how wealthy you are. Okay, and to reinforce it, you built a wall around you. And who are you going to build a wall with? Your people. That's why the white community are where they are, because when the concept of superiority came in, they built a wall around them with other white people to insulate them. And that's what it is. It's superiority. It has nothing to do with capitalism.
Yeah, Mike, did you have a question? Okay. All right, and so the other thing I wanted to talk about is, so one of the specific things, well, there are several specific things that black men that were polled talked about. They talked about how when black men want to start businesses, that they are not given access to loans from banks the same as their white counterparts that are entrepreneurs. That was one thing that they said that was setting them back, which is, if you listen to Kamala's campaign, that was one of the things that she laid out, was this plan to not only give black men more access to capital to build, businesses, but also the down payment, because we know equity matters in terms of wealth building, and as well as that down payment to help people that were first time, homeowners. So can you speak to that? Do you think that that's a reality, that there is some truth to, there are more barriers to black men that want to enter into entrepreneurial endeavors in terms of the traditional route of getting a bank loan or finding investors?
Speak on the key.
Go ahead, Keith.
I say yes, it is. It's, you got more black men out right now trying to open up their own business. And when they step into a bank and try to withdraw or try to build a business, you get a lot of denial on that. And you have to go in another kind of way to try to build your business up, because you got to know somebody to really get your business going. If you don't know nobody, it's harder for you to get your business. And it's sad to say how they do us as black men. They just don't do it right.
Right. The thing I think about too is when Ryan Coogler was here in Atlanta when they were filming Black Panther, and remember that whole, I don't know if you guys remember that whole incident that happened. He was trying to withdraw his own money from Bank of America, $20,000 to pay his, I believe it was his nanny, and he wanted it in cash. And the reason why he sent the note, he was being discreet because he, one, didn't want people to know it was him, and two, didn't want people to know that he was withdrawing that amount of money, because you never know who's listening. I want to say the cops are caught. It was a whole thing. I mean, I believe the person that was involved was fired. But I just think about that, Barry. Mind you, he's not even going in there to get a loan. He's going there to access his own money and the way in which he was treated. So it seems like there is some credence to the notion that there are some barriers for black men.
Well, I hear your example, but I don't think that's a barrier. I think somebody was being cautious, but that comes down to management. See, that comes down to good management, how the bank is ran. And that's why you had that situation. I don't think anybody intentionally want to do that, but it's just, I don't think that's a branch manager bank policy. I think that's just an individual not using common sense. And then the whole racism thing get blown out. But I'm gonna speak to an argument to Keith's point when he said you have to know people. You really do have to know people. You have to know people who understand banking. And so when you understand banking and how money is funneled through businesses, I think everyone has a hard time getting a business loan, whether you black, white, purple, pink, and brown, right? Everyone has a hard time, because one thing the bank is not gonna do, and they can't do, is have more money out there than they have deposits, right?
Right.
Can't do that. Be an imbalance. It's upside down. So The way to get the fastest bank loan to start a business is to have something of your own of value. If you have something that you can collateralize, you can get a loan, because that's what capitalism is.
Right.
That's why I don't believe capitalism and racism stand together. It doesn't, because it goes back to what our parents built, what our grandparents built. If you don't guard that, how are you going to have something to collateralize? If you can collateralize what you looking for, bank is very happy to give it to you. They are, but you got to be able, you got to have some skin in the game, right? Got to have some skin in the game. And then we're in a society now, and everybody will tell you this, where everybody, us, our people, they're sliding credit cards like it's candy. How do you buy chicken wings and French fries with a credit card?
Right.
How do you buy coffee, gas on a credit card? That's the sickness that we have adapted to. You can use a credit card and start a business.
Yeah.
To your point, I would ask, when we're talking about not only going back to that situation that Dr. Dongo was talking about, do you feel as if the person that was, that did deny the guy's money, if he was talking to another person of another culture or somebody that he deemed as business, like a white man or so, do you feel like he would have still discriminated against him getting his money, or do you think it would have been such a hard time? And that's just one part of my question. And then the second part is, there are a lot of generational wealth out there, but do you also feel as if when we're talking about credit and when we're talking about finances, it is a lack of opportunity and a lack of education that's put out for our children. And nowadays with the school system and such, it doesn't focus too much on financials and building and wealth. And of course, that's all by design. So I'm interested because I was listening to what you were saying, and I hear you on it, but there is a gap, and I understand that it's all about your mindset and how you look at things. Of course, not letting those barriers keep you down, but do we not acknowledge the barriers that are put in place that keeps us behind and such?
You asked me about 20 questions.
So going back to that,
I'm gonna do my.
The person that was being discriminated against, which I would deem as discrimination because I feel like it was somebody else that looked. It came with a suit on, white guy, and he looked like he had some business about himself. Did you feel like that would have happened to him too? I know that you said that was a person with his fault, or he was being cautious, but do you think he would have been as cautious if he looked something else, like if he looked like somebody else?
I can't speak to that, and I don't know. I know there are incidents that happen in the banking system. I've been in banking since I was 17, and I make it my business to go into the bank. Today, I hear everybody say, I don't go to the bank, I don't go to the bank. So, and these are black people talking like that. So, because there's so many ways to bank today. But I'm gonna tell you something, when you're dealing with your money, you need to know who's handling your money. When you turn your money over to someone, put a face to it, okay? Let them know who you are when you're dealing with your money so you don't run into those things. Trust me, when you walk into the bank, everyone sees you. It's money is transferred every day. You're dealing with money every day. You should be walking into the bank every day. You should walk into a bank. Do not rely on ATMs and all of those silly gadgets. Banking it drives America, and every black person in America should know banking. Now, are they going to teach you that in school? No.
So who is it up to for them to know?
It's up to your parents, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncle, and your family to teach you banking.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Never switch on the homies in the day ones. They didn't wanna open doors, so we made some.